So walk us through the economics. I know you had one of the most profitable, gigs, or I don't even know what you would call it, but you had
Scam.
Yeah, you had the most profitable scam since Al Capone. I read that about you. So would you say you were the second highest earner in the mob ever, or what would you say?
That's what I think Vanity Fair said that about me, that, well, look, my indictment was like $2 billion they claim we defrauded the government out of. A little bit low, but... Two
B's, that wasn't big enough.
Only kidding. But, it was a lot of money. We in our era, I don't think anybody was making that kind of money.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the formula I used.
Yeah.
If, like, this whole gas scam was my deal, I brought it to my family. They didn't need to contribute anything. I didn't need money from them. I didn't need anything. I'll tell you how when I finally realized what I had, I went to my boss, Carmine Persico at the time, and we called him Junior. And I said, and I was a soldier. I wasn't even a captain. I said, Junior, I bypassed my captain. I had to come and sit with you. He said, what's up? He respected me, so it was okay. I said, look, I came across a deal. I'm going to show you more money than you ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
And he immediately looked at me and says, drugs? I said, I hate anything to do with drugs. We weren't allowed to get involved. I said, not drugs. He said, what is it? I said, it's gas. He said, gas? I said, yes. I said, we're going to be defrauding the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. I said, but here's the deal. When this spreads around, because some of the other Russian guys were doing it a little bit, but they hadn't figured out the exact formula. I said, when this word spreads around, everybody's going to want a piece of it, and we're going to blow it. Going to blow it. We got to keep this within ourselves. He says, well, what do you mean? I said, I'll tell you what. If I have a sit down with somebody, if somebody tries to move in, I got to win. I got to win every argument. I said, I'm going to be right. I don't argue unless I'm right. I said, so you got to support me. Don't play any politics. Support me, and I'll show you more money than you ever saw in your life. So he looked at me. I'll never forget, Junior. He goes, show me. Within a couple of months, I was bringing him $2 million a week. That buys a lot of loyalty. I never lost an argument. Never. Not with Gotti, not with anybody that tried to get in, because that's what happens there. When a good thing starts to move, everybody wants a piece, and they want to...
All of the 5 families want a piece.
Yes. So, whoever gets wind of it and understands it, and I wasn't the most quiet guy around in that I had a jet plane, I had a helicopter, I had, a house in Florida, a house in California, a house in New York, I had boats in the backyard, so people knew I was making a lot of money, and we had a wealthy crew.
Yeah.
So word spreads around, and then people want to get involved, and you got to keep them out, because when too many people get involved in anything,
it breaks.
It breaks.
Yeah. What was the economics? So let's say you're bringing your boss $8 million a month.
Yeah. So my formula was this. If this was totally my deal, and I didn't need you for anything, I didn't need money from you, you weren't my partner, I gave him 25% of whatever I earned. That was my formula.
That was it?
To the boss.
Yep.
Now, the reason he made me a captain at the time, because understand the way the chart flows. If I was a soldier, I had to first give to my captain, and then my captain would take a piece and then give the rest to the boss. But if I'm a captain, I go directly to the boss. Right. So there's no middleman. Right. So he immediately made me a captain. That was it. It was one of the reasons, for sure. So I was dealing directly with the boss on this. So, and I'll tell you another interesting thing. With my crew, I set them all down, guys that had aspirations of maybe being involved in the life. And I said, all right, let me tell you the deal here. And I was about maybe 12 of the guys at the time. I said, if you want to become a made member of this life, this is not the crew for you. And I said, what do you mean? They said, I'm not going to propose anybody. I'm not going to sponsor anybody. I said, this is not the crew. So if you want to be a made guy, you got to go elsewhere. Now, if you want to make money, this is the place to be, because I'm going to make you all wealthy. I said, so make your choice. The reason I did that is because when you propose a guy and make a guy, you lose him. Yeah. He's his own guy at that point. So it's like I'm setting him up to leave me. So why am I going to make this guy wealthy and then lose him?
We call it in business, turnover is the enemy of scale. You have turnover inside your crew. You got to bring a new guy in. You got to train them. It takes time. Exactly. It's a deflection from the team. And so you want to do everything you can to keep your trained best people on the team producing. That's interesting.
So the other thing I did too is because of that, in case anybody had aspirations of leaving, I never let them know the inside of the operation. There was only two of us that understood that, me and my partner. And I knew my partner would never want to be a made guy.
Your partner would he be the equivalent to like a COO? He handled the day-to-day and like all the details? Yes.
He was a detail guy. He actually brought the scam to me. Nice. He came to me, he had a small gasoline operation out in Suffolk County. And there was two mob guys from another family extorting him, shaking him down for money. Yep. So he came to me for help. Yep. Initially, I chased him. I said, you got two guys already involved with you. I don't mess with other people's business. He kept coming back. He was an Italian guy. By the way, 6'5", 450 pounds. Huge guy. I'll show you a picture, you'll laugh. So he sits me down. He says, I'm pleading with you to listen to me. He said, I have a deal. We can beat the government out of money. So now, I hated the government at that point, so that's when he got my attention. I said, explain it to me.
He didn't have the right value proposition all the times before.
Exactly.
But he figured out exactly what he needed from you.
Yeah, so what he was trying to do initially is not share this information with me, just get me to help him. Yes. And maybe, how much can I pay you? I said, you can't pay me anything. Take a walk, right? I didn't want to be bothered. Yeah. But now he had to share his idea with me. Nice. And I hated the government. I said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you a shot. So I got rid of the other two guys. I made them go away. I didn't get rid of them.
Did you pay them?
The two mob guys?
Yeah.
No, I
said, hey, this is my guy, leave him alone.
Yeah, I had a whole sit down with their boss over this, but I ended up winning. So I said, I'm going to give you a shot. So I said, I want to form a new company. I don't know if you owe taxes or anything else, but I don't want to be involved in that. I'm going to form a new company. Yep. I said, we'll get some offices and let me see what you can do. So I got this guy, Vinny Aspromonte, was around me. He was my butcher. He's a big guy, tough guy, big scar across the top of his head. You looked at him, you got nervous, right? So I said, Vinny, I'm going to put you with Larry. I said, for the next 2-3 weeks, stay with him. Let's see what he's really got. I don't know this guy that well. Okay. So about 3 weeks later, he knocks on my door on Saturday morning. He used to bring me meat, right? Yeah. And he's got a box on his shoulder. And I open the door. I says, what are we having, a party? What's all this meat, He said, hey, Chief, it ain't meat. Come in the kitchen. So I go in the kitchen with him. He puts the box down. I'll never forget. He opens it up. I immediately smell gasoline, right? And he said, this is the first week and a half take in the gas business. It was $320,000. Got my attention. We grew that from $320 to between $8 and $10 million a week because I had over 350 gas stations we either owned or operated by lease. We were selling to all the majors, Shell, Mobil, because we undercut everybody. Everybody that owned the station wanted to buy from us. And then when we had to become licensed wholesalers in order to collect the tax, I had 18 licenses that I was able to get, and I had political connections to help me. I was paying them. Yeah. You couldn't get the license. It was difficult. And so we grew that operation into, we were selling 500 million gallons of gas a month, taking down 20, 30, 40 cents a gallon, depending upon the deals that we made. Wow. And then I brought the Russian mobs in. They had an unbranded independent gas stations called Gas Stop. And I met up with them, and they were trying to do what we could do, but they couldn't get the licenses. So I said, I'm going to bring into my fold every gallon of gas that you purchase and sell, you bring it through my company, and we'll cut it up. And the deal I make with them, I had 3 Russian guys. They were great partners, by the way, terrific partners. Yeah. I made a ton of money with them. And so when I first sit down with them, this will give you a little insight into how we operated. I said, here's the cut, 75% me, 25% you. So they went and they huddled up together. I'll never forget, Mike Markowitz looks at me and says, Mr. Michael, that's not fair. I said, why 75%? We're doing all the work. He says, we're writing it on your license. I said, very simple. I says, we're all on the street, and you're going to steal from me a little bit. I said, so this way I won't be that mad when I know I'm getting a lion's share. I said, but don't let me catch you anyway. And so I'll never forget, Daniel. They went and huddled, and they said, "You got a deal." And they shook my head, right? But it was the best relationship on the street that I ever had. They were terrific partners.
That's great.